Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are going to be returning to Suzerain Rizia, the DLC for Suzerain, which puts you in the shoes of a monarch of the Kingdom of Rizia. We're continuing our Let's Play series today. We are just about to get into some major gas dealings, I think. We've just completed our shipyard, so our navy is beginning to grow. We are romancing the head of our military, I guess. We had sort of a nice little interaction with her at the military base. We kind of we saved her from falling off a palisade, and she seemed, to be interested in us. We had some nice saucy interactions with them. But I think today's going to be a big episode. One, I think we're getting pretty deep into the DLC. I don't think it's a very long one, so I think we are probably getting close-ish. We might still have a few hours left, but getting closer to the end than to the beginning. And then the other thing is, we are constructing this gas field, which will give us considerably more gas, which will allow us to generate more revenue for the economy, but there is almost certainly about to be a dispute over the gas field with the Duchy of Pales, who we had fought a war with, and during, was it our father's administration? A long, drawn-out war against the Duchy of Pales. We have had better relations with them of late, but it seems there is about to be a dispute over the gas fields that we are trying to exploit, so that is concerning. Additionally, we did get some reports on our surveys of mines that there is a large coal deposit that was discovered underneath Havas. So there's a large coal mine that we could build. We also have no results here in Topaz, so the mining survey yields no results. Although we did finish the restoration of the old city in Resnid, so that should generate some tourism and maybe some additional revenue for that. Mining, no results here, which is fine. Monquiz, protest at the palace gates. We allowed them to protest and they left. Coastal Batteries Fire is expanded docks open, so we're able to do more trade out of Monquiz, one of our major ports, with the new dockyards. Large gold deposit discovered in Quails. It has the potential to solidify us as a leading gold producer in the region. There is some concern with that particular deposit, though. It could spoil the wine production that we are known for. No results in jails as part of the exploration. And no results in Argnos. So we discovered 2 potential mines which can be sort of worked on, and that's where we are right now. Name my heir the Rinse of Pales. I would be glad to ship my daughter off to rule Pales, but the concern is that Lesbian up here is, they protected Pales last time. We're also in a budding conflict with Valen over Zil up here, the territory of Zil, which is currently leased to them, but the lease is about to end. Alright, so we have 2 oil and we've got 3 budget available to us. We are going to go ahead. We've got a second ship, so we now have 2 ships. We've got 10 infantry divisions, 3 support divisions, and 2 armored divisions, 15 total divisions of troops. We also have 2 Azaro elite units and 2 Saison levy units. We have 2 marine divisions, and we have 1 mountaineer division. So that's all to be considered. How do you get a flagship? I'm curious about that. I don't have enough equipment to build anything right now, so that's kind of a problem. Let's go ahead and take a look at the royal decrees. Is there anything we can do to spend some of this money? I mean, there definitely is, but I don't want to give energy subsidies because I'm not producing enough energy right now. I don't know that it makes sense to sell the limited energy that we have right now. The Quails gold mine could be constructed. It would create 2 budget per turn. Construction would be complete in 3 turns. I do wonder how many turns are left, though, because I keep saying, like, oh, it feels like we're deep into the game. But it feels like you don't have any time to build anything with all these things having multiple turn resolutions. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just speed up the events or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't think I want to do the gold mine at this point because it does seem like it would put put us in a kind of a concerning position from our wine industry. I don't want to destroy our wines. The coal mine is interesting. It's only 2 budget. It's only 1 energy per turn. But it does help the energy, and plus if we get the gas mines, then we're talking 3+ energy per turn. I don't even know what turn I'm on. I think I'm on like turn 4 or 5. Alex. We basically, from our second turn, we started building the shipyard and the gas. And the gas is 1 turn from completion, and the shipyard just completed. So maybe we have more time, but it feels maybe like we don't. I don't know. We could buy some support vehicles from the international market. I can check the journals. I think we'll hold off on doing anything right now with the money or the energy at the moment. Let's just see what's going to come up here. This seems like it's a big meeting, the council meeting on the Pales gas dispute. I'd called a council meeting in Fort Ailes to discuss strategy in the Pales gas dispute. The city was named after the most famous building, a Vaglish fortress that now served as the government headquarters for the Pales administrative district. Titus escorted me down the hallway to a nondescript conference room where Lorento, Lucidia, Elena, Hugo were already waiting. My daughter had requested to stay home this time around, claiming she was feeling unwell. I took a seat across from Lucidia. She's staying home so she can spend time with that scallywag Sazon. I took a seat across from Lucidia. My lover. She blushed. The other counselors didn't seem to notice. Good morning, Your Majesty. Should we fill you in on the situation so far? Yes, please. I'll take it from here. As you know, our joint team of researchers recently completed their assessment of the gas field between Pales and Rizia, tentatively nicknamed Oris. The Rizian surveyors determined that the field lay in both Rizian and Palasian territory. However, a few days after our teams returned to port, we received news that the Palasians had made a different decision. Duke Reinhardt is now under the impression that the entire gas field belongs to Pales. He ordered that exploratory drilling begin immediately. Lucidia had a worried look on her face. A Palasian drill ship departed the port of Remez at 0800 this morning. It is expected to reach the field by this time tomorrow. Your Majesty, I have advocated for caution regarding Pales in the past, but this strikes me as highly concerning. I share those concerns. The Palasians were out of line to send that ship. A response from Rizia is certainly warranted. I called this meeting today to decide our course of action. We have a meeting set with the Duke Reinhardt in 2 days, by which time the ship will have reached its destination. It is my hope that the Palasians are still open to negotiating the field's ownership, and this is just a tactic to give them an edge. You're getting ahead of yourself, Lorento. The king should be as informed about this dispute as possible before heading to Pales. Okay, so why don't you inform me then? Where should we start? Why is this a dispute? I thought our maritime borders were clear. They've been shifting for the past century. The late Empire of Valgos used to control the waters between Pales and Kalkabiz, but the area came into question when the island joined Rizia in 1855. Since then, both Rizia and Pales have variously claimed ownership of the waters and resources therein. The borders that Rizia recognizes today are the ones defined by the 1942 AN Directive on Offshore Resources. According to those, the field should be split almost exactly evenly between our 2 nations. Yes, Andor. Andor? Oh no! A nation has the... are there Star Wars things involved? A nation has the sovereign right to any undersea gas and oil wells located within 200 kilometers of its coast. And in case of overlap, no one country may exploit those resources without the other's agreement. Are both Pales and Rizia signatories of this directive? Rizia has both signed and ratified Andor. Reinhardt's predecessor signed the directive, but the Duke has yet to ratify it. The Palasians, furthermore, state that a sparsely populated island, Kalkabiz, should not have the same maritime radius as mainland Rizia. What are we using Kalkabiz for anyway? Its strategic location between the mainland of Merkopa and Kirut makes it a very useful port and naval base. And we should not forget about the presence of the exiled ex-Duchess Angelica Sazon. How much gas does the field contain? We still don't have an exact number, but the surveyors have confirmed it's a lot. Oh, wait, so is the gas field I'm building different than this gas field? Are those two different things? Like, is this whole plot line regardless of what I was doing with the gas field to the northeast? Quite possibly more than the current natural gas reserves of Rizia and Pales combined. In other words, whichever country controls Oris field will become Merkopa's next energy superpower. Do we need the gas from the field? I'll be blunt, Your Majesty, our existing gas reserves are dwindling. Elena, we are building a new gas field. Our expansion of the Equirus field will increase gas production, though access to even half of Oris would yield better results. President Evald Alfonso was pleased enough with our trade deal that he's hinted at offering us a stake in his own gas company, Gascom, but next year's Sordish elections may jeopardize that offer. Okay. Sounds shady. I wouldn't be surprised if this Gascom was on the verge of bankruptcy. Whatever the state of the company, there's no denying that Swordland has prodigious gas holdings. Sordish or otherwise, we could really use the gas to bolster our overall energy reserves. We're running low as it is, and we don't know what the future might bring. Okay, what is our decision going to be? Actually, I have some additional information that could influence our response. Okay. Our intelligence in Pales managed to get a visual on the boat before it departed. This man here is a representative from Less Power, the Lesbian Energy Corporation. Hugo stared at her coldly. I was not informed that we had active intelligence operations in Pales. His Majesty and I made the decision to establish it. You were involved in this, in Your Majesty? I thought the Valen investigation took full precedence. I believe the same, but she convinced me that the Pale situation was worth keeping an eye on, and that turned out to be the case. It did, Your Majesty. I would humbly ask my fellow counselors to focus on the content of these findings, not the methods used to obtain them. I do find it worrying that Lesbia is so heavily involved in this expedition. This evidence proves is that it's not Pales alone asserting its claim to the field. Lesbia, and by extension ATO, is after that gas, and all the money and power that comes with it. This photo sends a different message to me. Could it be possible that Lesbia pressured Pales into claiming the field and sending the ship? If so, we can use that fact to drive a wedge between the two. Or can we? Alternatively, we could find a compromise that involves all three of the countries. But then what happens if Morelia and their Vagslandian friends get involved? They won't be happy with an ATO member drilling so far south, and that could lead to the kind of consequences I was warning you about earlier, Your Majesty. I still don't think we should give up on the possibility of negotiation. I know you and Duke Reinhardt haven't had much of a rapport, but it might not be too late to come to an understanding. I don't want to come to an understanding. I want to crush him to smithereens! What am I, a cartoon villain? I'll try to be diplomatic, but I do want to send a ship. Like, I don't want to crush him. Like, that's over the top. We can try to be diplomatic, but does this exclude me from being able to send a ship? I do think we should send a ship. Let's see what this opens up. Can't we split the field 50-50 with Pales? That's what the legal claim is, isn't it? That was the outcome I was hoping for before the incident, but it seems without the aid of a third party, sharing the field would be more difficult than expected. A third party? Like the Rizian military? I don't want to arbitrate. Like, Arbitration will take forever, and we will never get that gas. Not in the time frame of the game, anyway. Like the Rizian military? I believe Miss Maverner was referring to the Alliance of Nations. It's usually called to arbitrate disputes like this. Unfortunately, arbitration is an expensive and time-consuming process, and there's no guarantee it'll end in our favor. We have Rumberg on our side. Queen Beatrice would support us through the arbitration process. The weight of grace versus that of Lespa and ATO, we would be evenly matched. What are the other suggestions? We still have not decided what to do about the Palazian drill ship. I don't like the idea of the drill ship being present at the gas fields during our negotiations. With His Majesty's blessing, the Rizian Navy could surround the field, preventing the drill ship from reaching its destination. Are you in your right mind, young lady? The Navy, we'd be escalating the situation. They're the ones we're escalating. We cannot simply sit idly by while they... We need a strong response. The Duchess is not talking about sinking the drill ship, Mr. Escobar. A blockade could keep the field clear until His Majesty had a chance to speak with Duke Reinhardt. If we do end up in arbitration talks, Pales having an established presence in the Oris field would give them an unwarranted advantage. That settles it, then. I want us to have a fighting chance to claim our rightful part of the field. I agree that asserting Rizian sovereignty is of the utmost importance, especially knowing that what we know about Lesbia's involvement. But I'm wary of miring ourselves in another conflict. What if the Palazians call our bluff? We don't need to worry about that, Your Grace. Our navy is capable of outgunning Pales if need be. Still, this is not a decision to take lightly. I understand the implications, but I fear we have no other choice. We'll institute a blockade of the gas field immediately. I do not take Duke Reinhardt's violation of the law lightly either. Our navy will show him that Rizia cannot be intimidated. I agree that we should exercise caution. I see through your manipulations, Duchess Azaro, and I will not give in. We're not doing 3 or 4. I do not take Duke Reinhardt's violation of the law lightly either. Our navy will show him that Rizia cannot be intimidated. 2 seems more diplomatic, so I'm going to go with 2. Why? Elena, I'm confused, because Elena just said we could do this. I didn't say we would sink it. We'll adjourn the meeting so Duchess Azaro may begin preparations. We'll inform you of the Navy's position prior to your departure for Pales. Thanks for the suggestion, Duchess. I knew you could be counted on. I spent a sleepless night in Fort Ailes wondering what would happen when the Rizian Navy reached its destination. A phone call to Pales would be great right about now. Screw the phone line. Send the Navy. Event available? Is that what we just did? I'm confused. We don't really have much of an air force, do we? What's our military situation right now? Is Air Force only represented by paratroopers? There's no actual air units? That's interesting. Territory of Zil. Valen restricts access to the Zil region. Okay. Community sheltering the BFF. Okay, so they may be sheltering the Blutish Freedom Front who are fighting against Valen. Confederacy of Vendosium requests support in uprising. What? Huh? With instability in key states of the Confederacy, such as the Sultanate of Ragaraka, Holy Isles of Panuvi, and the Duchy of Tamarin, the situation is rapidly deteriorating. Prince Consort Kabuin Sang Tam leads the effort to maintain monarchic control and suppress the uprising, but their resources are stretched thin. In a request for Grace solidarity, Vendosium turns to the Guild for assistance. I will give you energy, because I don't want to spend money on you. We must support our fellow monarchs. Navy deployed to the Oris gas field. Shipments of gas leave for Vendosium. The natural gas promised to Vendosium's prince consort has left the harbor of Monquise, sealing the commitment of our kingdom to international solidarity in the face of great challenges against established fellow monarchies. Alright, so we have options to expand our air force, I guess? Maybe? I don't really know what that particular... So we can expand the naval base, which gives me one more military ship on completion per turn. One more marine completion. 2-turn construction, 2 budget, 1 authority. A strategic initiative to expand and modernize the Fort Ailes naval base. So then I will get 2 naval units per turn? The Air Force base would do what? Upgraded airstrike capacity on completion? It doesn't tell me anything about my Air Force, other than it's obsolete. We know our Air Force is obsolete, but you don't actually have air units, so this might be the only way to actually improve your Air Force. How much is that one again? It's 2 budget. Strengthen Pale's border fortifications. No. No, I'm not spending money on that. Arcasia secures Pyrrhic victory in South Exian conflict. Arcasia emerges from the South Exina conflict bearing the hallmarks of a Pyrrhic victory. With the toll of war casting long shadows over its future endeavors, the sustained campaign, though successful in reaffirming Arcasia's superpower status, has left a trail of devastation and populace weary of conflict. The implications of this prolonged military engagement extend beyond the immediate theater of war, potentially influencing Arcasia's strategic decision in regions such as Central Line and Rica, and its position within the broader Merkopian geopolitical chessboard. So one other reason that I decided to send those ships, I know we're worried that like Lespa might get involved and the ATO could get involved, but we have seen news reports similar to that one of late that suggests that Arcasia has some domestic opposition to further interventionism. Apparently Dwight Walker's opposition is growing in strength. Folks are tired of intervening, and so while I didn't express it earlier, my thought is that ATO may be less likely to actually get involved in PALs than they might have been previously, and then they might have been in the previous war as well. That being said, what's our next thing? Grand Duchy of Pals. Meeting with Duke Reinhardt. So I'm gonna hold off on selling anything. Right? I do want to build stuff that will help the economy, too. I don't just want to be a militarist. Now, we could sell some of the naval ships, too. I will probably sell this energy next turn. In the event that, or this turn, in the event that we don't end up needing it. What do tenant protection laws? So they cost 1 budget. So what's the current economic situation? We got the military situation. So royal traditions are upheld, moderately homogeneous society, adequate women's rights, weak human rights, media censored, unfair treatment of foreigners, and no separation of powers. Yeah, the gold mine was for but that's in the same district where the wine we have is grown, and so it basically it says there's a risk if you do this gold mine that it could destroy your wine industry. The economy is rigid energy economy, low production capacity, Nelverser oil field depleted. Energy prices are average because we haven't flooded the market with energy. Gas field extraction volume is average at Equus. That should probably increase next turn when that's completed. RRG state owns 30%. We didn't take the bribe to expand gold and gas, that company. Average local coal extraction and gold. Most provincial taxes paid. Reduction in new business. A concerning lull pervades Rizia's entrepreneurial and landscape as new business registrations see a slump, with potential innovation hesitating. The economy risks stagnated. Regional tourist destination, high resource output, continental quality football teams, and efficient transportation systems. The welfare system, strong welfare state, average living standards, overcrowding at Denust place of worship, horrible workers' rights, high amounts of illegal substance use, worsening housing crisis, denial of welfare. So welfare needs to improve, for sure. The welfare situation is not good. Weak border security, lack of order in the city-state of Isa, vibrant drug trade. Kingsguard is limited. Okay. Alright, so I think there's some decrees available for welfare that don't cost money. Legalization of substance previously classified as illegal. This transformative policy is aimed at reducing the burden on the judicial system, undermining illicit trade, and promoting responsible use through regulation. Funds formerly allocated for law enforcement will be redirected toward education, addiction treatments, and public health initiatives. This measure recognizes the shifting societal perspectives on substance use and prioritizes harm reduction. I wonder if this would hurt. The base game is on mobile. The DLC is not. But you can play as Swordland on mobile, yes. I don't know... Is it worth the authority cost? It gives us more money. But, like, what's the social impact of legalizing illicit substances? That I don't know. Free press? Do we want to do that? I'd feel like it would invite a lot of criticism, but it could be a good thing to do. Death penalty. Removing the death penalty increases. I guess you need more jail. The measure aims to inculcate an understanding of Orcist values, traditions, and practices, and ensuring value. Okay. That could cause conflict between the religion groups. I know it does cost one budget, but I am going to do tenant protection laws. The housing situation is not good. There's a housing crisis, so I do think it makes sense to issue some tenant protection laws. Thank you very much, Sophie, for the raid. Welcome, everybody. We're playing Suzerain. I don't know if that's what you were playing before, or... Alright, sign the decree. I do wonder, though. Does the drug use get better if I... So high amount of illegal substance use. Will this go down if I legalize it? Or will it... I guess it can't get worse in theory, because a high amount of illegal substance use is already happening. It's already red. It's already a negative, so I'm tempted to legalize it. Since it's already in the red. It does cost a lot of authority, but I could use the budget. So let's do that. Now, this might get traditionalists pissed at me, because it does show you that, like, most of my people are not happy with that decision. My cabinet. Recreational narcotics soon to be available at your local pharmacy. Safe injections. Let's go. Here's needles that are guaranteed to be safe. Rizia's neighbors are worried about drug legislation? Oh, that could hurt tourism. Okay, well, we made the decision. I need the money. Let's go to the meeting with Duke Reinhardt and see what he has to say for himself. You're playing Prince of Persia? Gotcha. Well, thank you for the raid. Hope work is good. And welcome, everybody. We play a lot of historical games on this channel. This is obviously not historical, but it fits a lot of the same themes. I hadn't been to Pales in many years. Titus and I stood side by side, peering out the window of Castle Reinhardt. The Grand Duchy's royal residence was built on the foundations of an ancient palico, one of the stone fortifications that gave Pales its name. After his coronation, Duke Alex Reinhardt had hired an up-and-coming local architect to expand the old building into a swooping, bulging wood and glass structure that seemed almost alive. You know, in retrospect, if we had taken his recommendation and gone to meet the Duke, this might be going way better. Because if you remember when we were doing our initial sort of decisions about our past, one of the things was Duke Reinhardt reached out to us about our father, and we took the letter, but we didn't go visit him, and so our father thought we betrayed him either way. But so it's like we got penalized in the same way we would have if we had gone, but we didn't get any benefit out of it, so now we don't have as good of a relationship with him. So this is the Pearl of the Antocean. Hard to believe all this sprang up in the last few decades alone. Truly a feat, sir. Where are you from, Titus? Born and raised in Port Raison. My father was killed during the operation to take back Pales. I took up championship boxing to support my family. I bet you were good at it. Good enough to get noticed by military recruiters. I do miss those days in the ring sometimes. A panel in the wall slid open and the secretary, clad in a pastel mini-dress, emerged. She motioned for me to enter. Into the breach! Good luck, sir. The secretary announced my entrance as I stepped into the room and was greeted by Duke Reinhardt. The Pelasian ruler was tall and square-jawed, with looks out of an adventure serial. I recalled that the tabloid had nicknamed him Duke Dashing. He made eye contact as he bowed to me. Your Majesty, a pleasure to finally meet you. I only wish it was under better circumstances, Your Grace. As do I. The secretary left, closing the door behind her. The Duke and I took seats on opposite sides of a wooden conference table. His posture was casual, even as he regarded me with intensity. I'll be honest with you, Your Majesty, I never expected my brother to abdicate. I was perfectly happy living a life of leisure, coasting off family fortunes, and enjoying the odd celebrity rendezvous. Wait, which celebrities? You'll have to wait until my memoirs are published, if I live long enough to write them. He sighed and slid a report across the table toward me. My security minister woke me up at midnight with this. I was assured that Pales had every right to begin drilling in the Ors gas field. And now our ship finds itself in a standoff with the Rizian Navy? Tell me, Your Majesty, what's the meaning of this? Why did you send that ship to begin with? Why not notify my government? You may not have shown hostility toward Pals, Your Majesty, but many in your government have. Sending that ship was our way of asserting Pelasian sovereignty. Please, Your Grace, let's not let bad blood between our families color our present relationship. I'm prepared to reconcile as long as you recognize that gas field belongs to Pales alone. You know, Your Majesty, we Reinhardts have ruled Pales for as long as the Torases have ruled Rizia. Yes, Pales was part of the Valgos Empire, but we've developed our own laws and customs, even our own language. When the Empire fell apart, what we were supposed to do, simply give up everything we had built? No, I suppose not. I heard what it was like back then. Rizia and Morella picking at us like vultures. Goddamn Vagsland trying to provoke a revolution from the sidelines. Lesbia was the only nation willing to support our independence. Your family must have realized their motives for doing so was less than pure. Of course, but thanks to Rizia's aggression, they had no choice. I understand why Pals accepted Lesbia's aid, but now that Morella is in league with Vagsland, you could get caught between the superpowers. Not as long as we have a bargaining chip, and we do, right at the bottom of the Antician. Antician? So you see, Your Majesty, we can't let Rizia take it from us, not without a fight. You're not the only country with obligations, and the gas field is large enough to be split. Sharing a gas field requires close collaboration. You'll excuse me if I don't feel like collaborating with Rizia right now. I'll admit I acted harshly. If I agree to call back our ship, can we have a reasonable talk? I don't want to recall the fleet, because at the end of the day, we have no if I recall the fleet and he starts mining, then he will take the field. I see no choice but to call in for AN arbitration. Great, they'll easily rule that PALS acted in direct violation of AN directive on offshore resources. Come on, what happened to this? Does this go to war? I don't want to go to war. I would rather... I wish I knew what the branching paths of this were, because I don't want to go to war, but I do want to be like, we should solve this ourselves. So I don't know which one to do. I'm assuming 3 goes to like a military confrontation. He's probably got Lesbia's assurance that ATO will side with him. The rules over our maritime borders seem clear to me, and to my counselors as well. You're forgetting that we have the support from Rumburg and Grace. I'm sorry that it's come to this, Your Grace. See you on the battlefield? Goodbye, Your Grace. Well, that seemed to not go great. Damn it. Call with Prime Minister Alvarez? It had been a week since my meeting with Duke Reinhardt and pals. The Alliance of Nations had accepted our request to arbitrate ownership of the Oris gas field. Preliminary hearings were to begin soon. In the meantime, Lesbia's Prime Minister, Patricio Alvarez, had contacted Lorento asking to speak to me. I was spending the week at my palace in Monques, Lorento, visited to brief me ahead of the phone call. He stepped in front of my desk and bowed. Good afternoon, Your Majesty. I trust you're well, Escobel? Well enough, though I must say I'm worried by the increasing tension in southern Merkopa. Our Rumburgian allies have expressed their support for our naval blockade as expected, and they're sure to be of use during the AN arbitration process. However, the nation of Morella has yet to support or denounce us. The same goes for Derdia. Meanwhile, my requests for Valen to give us an updated timeline on Zil handover have been repeatedly ignored. Isn't there anything we can do? President Smola can't keep holding on to Zil forever. I've filed a complaint with the Alliance of Nations. Presumably, this will be addressed during the upcoming Southern Merkopa session. For now, though, we have Prime Minister Alvarez to worry about. How trustworthy is he? Considering the only reason he entered politics was to avoid going to jail? No charge he has successfully been leveled against him, but in my opinion, he can only be trusted to protect his own interests. Why do you think he's calling? Well, he can't be happy that AN arbitration is delaying Lesbia's access to the Oris gas field. His country's energy demands have skyrocketed since joining ATO. I've heard rumors of massive new infrastructure investments, naturally all involving Prime Minister's own construction company. Did my father ever talk to him? No. His Majesty Valero died mere months after Alvarez won the 1949 election. He must have sent his obligatory congratulations in private, though. He referred to the young man as the Viper in a diaper. I've heard he's an alcoholic. Rare is the world leader who doesn't enjoy a little drink on the job. Or a big one. But no, Alvarez has apparently acknowledged his problem and entered a rehabilitation program. He's as sober as an archpriestess for now. Alright. Good afternoon, King Romus. This is Patricio Alvarez. How's everything in Lesbia, Mr. Prime Minister? I'll be honest with you, Your Majesty. Things were going a lot better a week ago. And here I am about to land the gas deal of a lifetime. And then my business partner calls me up and tells me we have to wait for AN arbitration. I'm only observing protocol, Mr. Alvarez. You'd do the same if I laid claim to one of Lesbia's resources. It isn't your resource, Your Majesty. My legal counsel has a crystal clear case for Palazian ownership of the gas field. You can talk about Andor rules all you want, but in the end it's going to come down to your word versus ours. And who do you think has more sway with the Alliance of Nations? I understand I might lose, but I'm not going to back down on this. Not might, Your Majesty, you will lose, after wasting a lot of unnecessary time and money. If you want to avoid all of that, I have a proposition. What kind of proposition? I've been following the situation in Zil. It seems to me like you could use help with that debacle. I am growing concerned about the timely return of the region. As you should be. He's a slippery man, Smolak. You won't get your territory back unless you tighten your grip on him. How do you propose we do that? Of course, Lesbia can't interfere directly, but we can provide some assistance from the sidelines, by speaking up on your behalf at the upcoming AN session, for example. That's it? You'd expect us to give our claim up on the gas for that little? It's more than you get if you continue down the arbitration path. Actually, I'll be extra generous. Cede the Oris field to Pales, and in addition to the assistance I just promised you, we'll sell you 1/4 of the exploration rights. You wouldn't be bargaining if you thought you had an airtight case? So we'll get 1/4 instead of 1/2? Have you forgotten I hold the cards here? My navy has the field surrounded right now. I wonder what'll happen if you're forced to use it. But let's just say I'm feeling especially charitable right now. Withdraw your claim and your ships, and I'll give you the 25%. And the offer of assistance with Valen, that still stands? Of course. in future. What is in future? So -1 budget per turn. So I lose half my budget now. I lose 1 budget that I got for my legalizing of drugs. And I get 1 energy per turn in future. But in future what? In future never. I don't trust him. And I also feel like I can't afford to lose 2 budget. I need that money now. The confusing part is it's -1 per turn budget, 1 energy per turn in future. So 1 per turn budget would be next turn. In future is some nebulous term. I also can't afford to lose that money. I need more money more than I need energy, especially with the other gas field opening up next turn. So I'm not going to back down. This is Pale's fight, not yours. You're right, Your Majesty. Lesbian will not get directly involved, for now. I'll see you in Kurut. Pleasure speaking with you, Mr. Prime Minister. Honestly, I would rather lose the fight than lose the money now. Alright, everybody, that's going to do it for today's episode. We've just turned down the offer of essentially mediation and capitulation on the oil fields off of Pales, the Oris field. We'll see how that plays out. I mean, we're pushing back against much stronger countries than our own, and, you know, I don't know how this will play out. I'm assuming the arbitration won't go well, but there's no way for us to know. In any event, though, we will pick this up next time in our next episode of Suzerain. Hope you guys are enjoying this series, and as always, until next time, I'm out.